Good evening, sports fans. That's right, it's the day of the big game, and boy, oh boy, do we have a lot of sports to catch up on. I'm Bryson Wallace, and I'm going to be talking about all things sports for the next 2 hours. If you want to talk about the big game, well, you can go other places to talk about that. There's plenty of other more qualified people to be talking about the big game with. I'm going to rattle off all of the other sports highlights that we've got going on. We're going to cover everything. So you just sit tight. We're going to cover it all here on our big game broadcast. We're also raising money tonight for Magic Wheelchair, a fantastic organization. A fantastic organization that makes costumes for children in wheelchairs. So if you haven't done so already, please do be sure to donate here on Facebook to Magic Wheelchair. We'll have more information about what Magic Wheelchair later on. We're going to be taking some of your calls later on. If you're out there, let us know. We're just going to be rattling through all of the sports news. How about that game last night? How about that game between the hand bottoms and the trash maggots? We'll break it down later on. Logan last time having a hell of a game last night. We want to hear from you, so please do feel free to reach out in the comments. We'll open up the phone lines a little bit later to talk anything that you want to talk about in the world of sports. But let's just start it off. We'll break down the latest sports headlines. Carl Slipstick suspended 6 weeks after being caught shoplifting in Minneapolis. Slipstick, he's a young rookie. And you see, they sign these guys to $1 million deals their rookie year, and they're these guys in their 20s, and of course they're going to take that money and they're going to go be stupid with it. This guy, apparently, money not being the object for him, steals what turns out to be just trading cards and finds himself suspended for 6 weeks. I don't understand how you can make that dumb of a decision your rookie year. He'd be lucky if he could be considered to even start this next season. We've got Dan Fitzwallace Jr. He's announcing his retirement from the FCL after a record-breaking 34-year career. Now, that guy, I mean, just a hell of an undertaking for that guy to still be going at this rate. Posting a 4-0 lead in his most recent game, and you can't understand how a man like him can still be going this late in his career, but he is sadly announcing his retirement. I was always a big fan of Dan Fitzwallace Jr. His father, also a hell of a coach and a player himself, and just Fitzwallace, he's going to go down in the record books. He's going to be a future Hall of Famer in my estimation. Logan, last time, as I mentioned, this hell of a game between the Denver Hand Bottoms and the Ohio Trash Maggots. Logan, last time, leading the Hand Bottoms to a 56-8 victory over the Ohio Trash Maggots with an all-time single-game record of 34 hoops. And you got to admit that this guy is insane. This guy is single-handedly just leading the Hand Bottoms to just one of the best seasons that they've ever had. I want to get your input on all this. What did you feel about this game between the Hand Bottoms and the Trash Maggots? And what else is on your mind in the world of sports? We're going to open up the phone lines. Call now. 240 Big Pan 6. That's our number. You know it. You love it. I want to get your thoughts on this game between the Hand Bottoms and the Trash Maggots. I've always been a Hand Bottoms man myself. And Logan, last time, I remember about 4 seasons ago, you wouldn't have guessed that this guy would be leading the team to decisive enough victories like this. 240 Big Pan 6 is the number to call. Again, we're talking all things sports. We're talking this game last night. I was at the edge of my seat. Logan, last time, on that 30th hoop, I didn't even know that there was going to be 4 more hoops after that. Just making sure that we're live. 240 Big Pan 6 is the number to call. But I was at the edge of my seat with this game. Won some big money, if you ask me. I mean, I don't think I can legally say that on the air, but I was definitely coming out ahead of that game. We've got the Tennessee Dealers also made a big announcement recently. Tennessee Dealers, Daryl Stock Details, that's their president. He announced plans yesterday for a new stadium to be built near Diggins Lake in downtown Nashville. I mean, the Dealers have been desperate for a new stadium for years. They've been playing in that trash heap that they've been playing in for years. And I think this is a good bet that President Daryl Stock Details. He obviously got the funding. I think I saw online that there was some some controversy over how those funds were being met. The taxpayers in the area don't want to be paying for this stadium, but the Dealers need it, and they just need to understand that the Dealers need it. Again, taking your calls, 240 Big Pan 6 is the number to call. If you want to talk anything sports, all things sports. We were talking about the hand bottoms and the Ohio Trash Maggots and the hell of a barn burner game that they had last night. We also have Louise Kneecap Kaplan calls Wendell No Yard's decision to hire southpaw Cal Jumplies, the club's first left-handed stumper in its 78-year history. Kaplan was calling the decision into question after allegations of nepotism within the head office. You know, and Cal Jumplies, he's a hell of a guy. He's a great coach, but he's going to be the left-hand stumper for the team. Wendell No Yard's making the decision, and it's very obvious that, you know, it is his brother-in-law, and that rightfully needs to be called into question. But really, I think Cal Jumplies is going to do nothing but great things for the team. And there's a bit of frustration I can tell in Kaplan's case, where he just feels as though he was overlooked for that decision. What are your thoughts on this? 240 Big Pan 6. Jessica offering, I once dated a left-handed stumper, not worth it. Don't we all, Jessica? Didn't we all date a left-handed stumper? Pomeranians are in the news. That's a team you don't hear from that much. Their quarterstack Stan Tuffy Jackson finished last night with 5 steaks and 4 assists, including 3 goals and 3 governs in the final round. He earns himself the MVP trophy in his last starting game of the season. Listen, Stan Tuffle Jackson is no joke. A lot of people overlook him. A lot of people sleep on Jackson. But I'm here to tell you, no way, no how, don't do it. That guy proved himself to be an MVP just yesterday. That was last night, right? I wasn't able to catch the full game, but I definitely caught up on the recaps. By the way, I forgot to mention we're coming to you from KCSD Sports. I want to thank KCSD Sports for having us. We're having our big game broadcast breaking down everything in sports. You have any thoughts on the sports news of today? Call 240 Big Pan 6. I want to have your thoughts. I want to collect your thoughts. I want to hear what you have to say. What do you think? Does Stan Tuffy Jackson deserve the MVP trophy? He had a hell of a game last night, but that doesn't mean that he's had a hell of a season. That game between the hand bottoms and the trash maggots goes into overtime last night, actually. We didn't even mention the disruption, the disturbance in the crowd. Seemed to be a fight breaking out in the middle of the crowd, right at the last quarter. And these guys, professionals as always, you wouldn't expect it from the trash maggots, but they jumped in here too. All of the players just jumping into the stands and breaking up the disturbance in there. Apparently, what we're hearing on the newswire is that the discussion that ensued that led to the alleged riot in the stands had to do something with onion rings. Apparently there was some sort of dispute as to who was the owner of a discarded set of onion rings left on a seat. And it was enough of a distraction that the game had to be delayed an extra 45 minutes. No word on whether or not any of the players sustained any lingering injuries from stepping inside of that riot. Now, Logs Wood Splinter posted the best time in a quick stare breakdown in last night's championship MGL tournament. That was a hell of a tournament as well. And that breakdown, anybody else catch that breakdown? It was something I haven't seen in the MGL in a long time. The MGL has been rightfully criticized for a lack of excitement amongst their games. But last night's breakdown, I think, brought it back. Reminded everybody why the MGL is so great. Jessica offering up the onion ring riot was brutal. I was happy to see some players moving quickly for once. Jessica, you're not wrong. It did invigorate some sense of urgency in some of the players last night. The riot being the highlight for some in last night's game, but again, Logan last time, no short change in him and his contributions to that game last night between the hand bombs and the trash maggots. Again, we're taking your calls. 240-BIG-PAN-6 is the number to call if you have any thoughts on the hand bottoms and the trash maggots. Michael Carlson offering up presumably some praise. When did I become FB friends with Mauro Ranallo? Well, Michael, I appreciate that if that is a compliment on my broadcasting skills, but I can assure you I am no Mauro Ranallo. We're raising money for a Magic Wheelchair. Looks like we've raised $115. That's phenomenal. We haven't even done the pitch as to what exactly it is. Where were we on the news wire? Let's see. JFL commissioner. Oh, nope. Looks like we're getting our first phone call. Let's go ahead and take this call. Hello, what's your name and where are you calling from?
Hi, my name is Casey, and I'm calling from Valley Village.
Casey, you're calling from Valley Village. We're talking the game last night between the Denver Hand Bottoms and the Ohio Trash Maggots. There was that riot that ensued over some onion rings in the stands. The players were going into the stands to break up the altercation. What were your thoughts? Did you catch last night's game?
I thought it was really unfortunate how they would go into the stands for something as inconsequential as onion rings. Or like if they were like, fried pickles or, like maybe a Bloody Mary with a bunch of accoutrements on it, I would understand. But just onion rings. Onions are so easy to make. You can cook them yourselves after the game if you want it.
Well, to be clear, I mean, the players weren't going up to also fight over the onion rings. The players were going up to break up the fight that was breaking out in the stands over onion rings. But I see what you're saying, that there might have been some ulterior motives by some of the players who might have been wanting to get in on the onion rings themselves.
Yeah, and all this hullabaloo about onion rings, I really, truly, I just want to get to the bottom of it. I think the Trash Maggots are a fantastic team, and I don't think they should be penalized in any way for their actions last night.
No, absolutely not. I mean, they're not going to be penalized, but by all means, they did not score that well. It was a 56-8 victory for the Hand Bottoms. What did you think of Logan last time's performance last night? He was setting records.
I think that if that man does not make it into the Hall of Records, I think that it's a complete wash. I want him to be in the Hall of Records, and not even waiting until it's a posthumous announcement. I want him to be in the Hall of Records right now. I'm going to start a hashtag, Logan for Hall.
Logan for Hall. Let's get it trending worldwide right now. The day of the big game. Logan for Hall. We need Logan last time in the Hall of Records.
Yes, exactly.
Any other sports? What's on your mind in the world of sports? Do you have any hot opinions, hot takes, anything like that you'd like to discuss?
Well, I certainly feel like it's rumor season.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that when rumors get started, that's when teams fall apart. And so I want to make sure that we are responsible with our rumors that we spread. What rumors? I may or may not. I may or may not have heard that the Tennessee Flyers were looking to acquire a new starting kicker.
The Tennessee Flyers. That's what I heard as well. Is that they're looking at the rookie leagues. They're looking at the triple E Federation, and they're looking for a new kicker. That's something that you don't want to be responsible. You want these rumors to be true, because if they're not true, they can really hurt people's feelings, and we never want that to happen. Absolutely, absolutely. Is that the rumor that's sticking out to you the most this season?
I mean, maybe. I don't want to be irresponsible. But you do know that the Fort Worth Angels are ready to fold. They are looking to end their solvency. They're trying to liquidate their assets.
Oh, well, they've been at that that's been rumored for years at this point. I mean, everybody has always been calling for the end of them.
It's irresponsible to just throw it out there. So I wanted to be careful and just say this is a rumor, because if you say it too much, it might actually come true.
No, absolutely, absolutely. And at some point that is going to come to a head. I think the commissioner is going to have to look at that, because that's going to just throw off the rest of the whole division. Yeah. But when you're looking at an entire team going solvent like that, there's a lot that goes into it, and I think that's going to be a decision that does come over the course of many years, and I think that's why we've been seeing it developing over the course of many years. Now, we talked about the Pomeranians quarterstack, Stan Tuffy Jackson, earning the MVP trophy last night. Have you been keeping up with the Pomeranians this year?
I have been keeping my eye on them in the standings, and being able to get an MVP while being in last place is pretty valuable.
That's absolutely true. That's absolutely true. I mean, that you do raise an excellent point, which is nobody's making mention of the rankings and how they go into the MVP decision. But luckily, the committee is able to look past team rankings to determine an overall MVP, regardless of a win-loss record for a team.
You just think about how bad the rest of the Pomeranians are. It's almost like they're actual Pomeranians.
No, and those are the memes that you see on Barstool Sports and all these other things. Everybody just photoshopping Pomeranian dog heads onto the players' bodies. And I don't think that anybody particularly appreciates that on the team.
I mean, I can't stand those stoolies. Oh, they're just the worst. I'm going to say it out here, out loud. Barstool Sports is the home of racists, homophobes, and sexists.
Yeah, I mean, that's a whole other issue, but we're here to talk about the Pomeranians.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It gets me going when you talk about Barstool Sports. Not a fan.
Agreed. Now Tyler offering up
in
the comments that Logan last time should be a first-time inductee, echoing your sentiments about.
Absolutely. But for a first time, first ballot, just get him in the Hall of Records. Like, put him there right now. He got the record. Put him in the Hall.
He's got the credentials to back it up. Jessica offering, in my opinion, Jackson never fully recovered from the hot air balloon accident. He's on his way out. What did you feel? What was your response when the news of Jackson's hot air balloon accident came to light?
I think that being on a hot air balloon in the middle of the season is irresponsible unless you're using it to get to the game. In which case, I can't fault you.
Yeah, that's true.
Right, and I heard it was more of a pleasure hot airing than a work hot airing. So it's tough. It's hard out here. So
listen, on your free time, when you're in the middle of a season, you got to be responsible.
Yeah, you got to be responsible. Do something better, like go-karting. You can at least decide when to end that. Hot air ballooning, that's just a thing that you never know. You never know when it could run out.
At any time you can step out of a go-kart. At no time can you step out of a hot air balloon, except for two specific times, when you're on the ground and when you reach the ground again.
Yeah. Hey, I got some errands to run, so I gotta hit the road. But from everybody here in Valley Village, we are wishing you a successful broadcast. May the big game treat you well.
Thank you, Casey. We appreciate your input as always. Have a great rest of your day. Enjoy the big game. All right, we'll open up the phone lines again. If you have any thoughts, Logan, last time, should he be a first-time inductee into the Hall of Records? 240-BIG-PAN-6 is the number to call. Ashley offering up, hot air balloons are never a dumb decision. Ashley, I would refer you to Jackson's family, who might disagree. He lost out on an entire half of a season and a great big paycheck. Some season bonuses, or end of the season bonuses, I should say. And I don't know how the Jackson family would feel about your thoughts on hot air balloons. I think that they are very much so raw on this matter. Toddy, you're asking how much longer are you going? I'd love to call in. Toddy, I'll tell you right now, it's a 2-hour big game broadcast. We're going to be going for the next probably hour and a half. Hour and a half is how much longer we're going to be going. We'll pick up the sports news. Give us a call at any time. We'd love to hear from you and your thoughts on all the sports. 240-BIG-PAN-6 is the number to call. We've got JFL Commissioner Bo Tretif announced that the Los Angeles Sepulvedas will face the Sacramento Red Ropes in the 2020 Spring Classic Series at the Sleepy Time Arena. That's big news for Sacramento. The JFL deciding to host it in the Golden State. It was up in the air as to whether or not it was going to be Southern or Northern California. Sleepy Time Arena wins that bid. And the 2020 Spring Classic Series is just going to blow up the whole of Sacramento. If you've never been there, Old Sacramento, a great destination. Great tourist destination. Great place to catch some great old-timey reenacting. And I think everybody's going to enjoy that when the hub of the sports world, or at least the JFL, is all going to encounter each other in Sacramento. And the Sleepy Time Arena, what a great arena for that. That Spring Classic Series, I mean, the acoustics in that arena are just perfect for that. Now, the defending champion, Augustus Wingust, defeats Andy Overtime Orkins in a second-round beat by unanimous decision. I don't follow bar boxing, but I'm told that this is big news. If you've got any thoughts on it, I'm not as well versed in the boxing realm. I've got all other sports covered, but I just can't get into it. But I hear that this unanimous decision victory by Wingust, that this is a big deal, and that this puts him in the running for a blunderweight championship. And that blunderweight championship, if it does go down within the next, let's say, year, that's going to be some big pay-per-view buys for whoever ends up syndicating that. That'll be a huge moneymaker match. $240-BIG-PAN-6 is the number to call. The Seattle Palmers, they were in the news this week. They severed ties with their team starter, Coop Lieback. This Coop, I tell you. I used to be a big Coop Lieback fan. Not anymore. Coop Lieback out at the Seattle Palmers after multiple allegations of plagiarism, reported to KCSD Sports. Now Tim Habacher here at KCSD Sports, he was the one that broke this news. And again, Coop Lieback, a personal favorite of mine. And Coop Lieback, a guy that you would have assumed would also be in the Hall of Records. Coop Lieback throws it all away over quite possibly the dumbest decision of his career. Definitely the dumbest. I mean, there was the time that he went to the Orlando Coop Trees. That was a dumb decision in itself. But plagiarism? Plagiarism, Coop Lieback? Was that really worth throwing out a $48 million 5-year contract or whatever it was that was reported? Again, these young guys, they get these massive contracts. And nobody is thinking twice over giving a 20-year-old that much freedom. That much financial freedom. And this kid wasn't raised to know any better. And he goes out and plagiarizes, and there you go. That contract is ripped up. Mark offering up Jason Big Hit Murphy is the best bar fighter I know. Wingust is a disgrace. That's what I was saying before, is that if Wingust and Murphy ends up being the blunderweight championship match that we get in, say, 10 months, that's going to be huge. That's going to be huge for bar boxing. Is going to pay out big. Their president, Joe Schumacher, he's going to be on every radio show, TV show, promoting the hell out of that. And he's going to come out big. And again, whoever syndicates that fight, there's going to be a bidding war over that fight. I can guarantee you that. We're taking your calls. We'll take some more of your calls a little bit later. But for the time being, as I mentioned at the top, we're covering all things sports, but we're here to raise money for Magic Wheelchair, a fantastic organization. I could tell you about Magic Wheelchair, but I might as well let another company tell you about Magic Wheelchair. There was this lovely video that was on the internet making rounds. If you haven't seen it, I want to show it to you. And after seeing this, if you don't bust out that wallet of yours and give the $48 million that should have gone to Coop Lieback should donate. But I want you, if you're not familiar, I want you to know a little bit more about Magic Wheelchair. Here's some more information about Magic Wheelchair. All right, sorry about that. Looks like we got shut down. Sounds like the big man tried to bring us down, but we are back to talk all the latest things in sports. Pretty much proves to me that I can't show a nice video about a nice organization that makes costumes for children in wheelchairs. However, if you haven't done so already, we're here to talk all things sports. We're also here to raise money for Magic Wheelchair. We had raised $115 in that previous stream, and I thank you all for offering that up. That's very generous of you. We were taking your calls earlier, and to be perfectly honest, I kept rattling off the sports news and thought it was pretty odd that everybody stopped watching, but it turns out that was just the fact that everybody was booted off of my illegal stream. This ain't illegal, though. We're just here having some fun, raising some money, talking sports. So we'll get back into the sports news. Earlier on, we were discussing how Augustus Wingust and I believe it was John No-Hit Murphy, that they're set to go head-to-head for the Bantamweight Championship. That's going to be a big, big fight coming up. We also started talking about the Atlanta Speedsters. They've come to terms on a new 4-year deal with rookie player Mark Garbachaw, which will see him take the role of team captain starting in the 2019-2020 season. Garbachaw, a hell of a player, a real player coach, locker room leader. And we're getting a phone call. Let's go ahead and take this. Hello, what's your name and where are you calling from?
Hello, what's going on? Is this Bryson?
Yes, this is Bryson. Who am I talking with?
Bryson, this is Potty. I just saw your sports talk and what you're doing for Magic Wheelchair, and just thought I saw that you're talking about No Hit Murphy coming up, his big fight.
Yeah, well, I mean, last night's fight with Augustus Wingust put him in the running for Murphy's Bantamweight Championship. What do we need to know? I don't follow bar boxing. What would that fight mean for you as a fan?
Well, as a fan, what it would mean for me, not only for purposes because I watch that kind of stuff, but that term "no hit Murphy," you know what I'm saying? For him to connect a shot to the jaw would mean something for the little guys out there, because he hasn't had the opportunity to showcase, how should I say, his art the way that I think this fight with Augustus coming up. I think it could really speak a lot of volumes for his career and kind of set him on the track that he's always been looking to be to perform on. So I'll wait for the answer off the air. But what do you think that could mean for somebody like that, for coming up from nobody to beating Augustus?
Well, I think that it's really, as you said, the ring in this case is Murphy's literal canvas, and he is going to paint that canvas with his art all across Augustus's face. That's, I mean, I don't follow the sport directly, but I know that he's an intimidating person.
Yeah. I could stick around for a little bit. I didn't know if you had callers on the line, but yeah, I did hear him say that he was going to paint the canvas like Jackson Pollock with his blood. With Augustus's blood.
He's a big trash talker, and if you haven't done so already, definitely follow him on Twitter. He is worth the follow.
Yeah. So I definitely, appreciate that too. I saw that big news that's coming across the ticker right now with the Carolina Thaw Burgers. And
the Thaw Burgers.
And would he like to be traded? Would he not like to be traded? I think it'd be better for both parties if he was traded, because it gives him a new beginning. And also the Thaw Burgers, they understandably, they want to get out of that contract as well. So I think this could be a nice dump for them. And both, not only the player, but the Thaw Burgers themselves could kind of move on to the next level for what they're trying to do.
Yeah, and I think the Thaw Burgers have been kind of giving Green Fork a real runaround, and he hasn't been happy with his placement on the team there. He's an angler currently, but you could see him.
And everybody knows that. Everybody knows he's not been happy with his placement on the team, so I think it could be a fresh start for both of them.
Yeah, and it was I do want to mention, I know it sounds like it's running across the ticker here, but Chris Sandstrup with KCSD was the one that broke this news, and this was the first that we were hearing from from the Thaw Burgers side of things. They were the ones that came out, and they don't normally do this, but they acknowledged the fact that he does not intend to re-sign, which is a big. Normally, they're not announcing this sort of stuff until it happens.
Well, that's what I was about to say. It's unlike the Thaw Burgers to really put themselves on blast, but I think what they want to do here is like I said before, they just want to move on from this particular player, sign a couple new guys, and for the money that they were looking to resign him for, I think they could actually bring in a couple of different individuals for the same price tag. So I think that's why they wanted to put themselves on blast. They were moving on from this particular character, whether he goes somewhere else, whether he's going to retire, which I know that's been the word as well too here and there. It's really up to, I guess time will tell, as they say, one of those situations.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, any other things in the world of sports that you'd like to talk about? I'm happy to talk with you for as long as you'd like, but, if you've got errands, as our last caller had, by all means, feel free to turn me down.
Yeah, but I just wanted to call in. Much support for Magic Wheelchair. Just threw $5 their way. So anybody else that's listening, definitely, throw some money towards Magic Wheelchair. And for KCSD Sports, Bryson, you're doing them well, and hope to talk to you more in the future.
Thank you very much. It was great hearing from you. All right, Toddy with a great call as always. Becky offering up, I hope ESPN sees this. Becky, I'll tell you, I'm very happy at KCSD Sports. I know a lot of people have called into question my contributions at KCSD over the years. I, of course, had a former show on KCSD years ago, and some of you might be watching today because you are familiar with my work with KCSD in the past. However, I am very happy within the KCSD family. They've treated me very well over the years. Let's get back to the sports news. Again, if you have any thoughts on the latest and greatest in the sports news, call us now. 240-BIG-PAN-6 is the number to call. We had the St. Louis Tumbleweeds. Their starting catcher, Gary Mean Sturbcap. He sat out another game after suffering 2 torn quads last month. And you hate to see that. You hate to see 2 torn quads, let alone 1. And he's sitting out more and more games because, by golly, you just can't be a catcher with torn quads. This probably affects a lot of people's fantasy rankings, and I would say to you that this is his real life. So take that into consideration. We're getting another call. Hello, caller. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hi, my name is Betsy Higgins, and I'm calling from Naperville, Illinois.
Betsy, so good to hear from you. What in the world of sports would you like to talk about today?
Well, what I've been, wondering about was your opinion on, the big draft coming out of Anaheim this past weekend with the Angles, the Anaheim Angles. I'm wondering, do you think that McDonough is going to be, a solid forward for this semester?
Well, McDonough, he is an example of somebody who brings a certain extra level to a team. And I think the Angles they knew what they were doing in picking McDonough. Exactly. This wasn't what anybody would have expected to be a first-round draft pick, and I think that surprised a lot of people, especially here at the KCSD offices. But McDonough brings a certain je ne sais quoi to the team where he's going to be their starting guy. He's going to be what they build the rest of the team around. So even though this was a draft, they're probably going to look at the next year, maybe even 2 years, to see how they can build this team around him as their focus heading into even potentially the 2019-2020 season.
Yeah, I 100% agree, which, in the same vein, makes me kind of feel bad for Jim Willows. We all know he's got quite the Cinderella story, and it seems like, his chance kind of came and went. What do you think?
Jim Willows was a fall from grace and a redemption story all in one. I interviewed Jim Willows probably 2 years ago at this point, and Jim Willows is a family man. Jim Willows is an exceptional woodworker. A lot of people don't know that. That's what he does in his hobby, as a hobby. And I've spent many a Christmas with Jim Willows, and the thing that comes back to me, I don't mean to name drop here, Betsy, but the thing that comes back to me with Jim, knowing him the way that I do, is that he's in it for the love of the game.
Ain't that the truth?
He's not in it for the paycheck. He's not in it for the contracts, the parties. He's no party animal. He's still a young guy, but he just loves the game, and any team would be happy to have somebody as passionate as him on their team. The McDonough news kind of overshadowed what was going on with him, and I think he's not going to take that personally because he's all business. He's there to play a game, love a game, and he goes home and he loves his 5 kids and his wife, who he lives with in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
And I don't think that that's going to shake him. I don't think that the PR is going to shake him, or the lack of PR.
Yeah, that's a really good insight. Since you know him and are best friends with him. So it's going to be kind of interesting to see, but you're completely right. He's a all-American Christian family man, and it's not about the money for him. It's about the love of the game. So Thank you. Thank you so
Yeah.
much. I'm glad to get your opinion on that.
Thank you, Betsy. Thank you for the call. All right, still taking your calls, 240 Big Pan 6, talking all things sports. We'll catch up on, I saw that a couple things came through on the comments here. With Murphy only 5'5", 260 pounds, says Mark Bush. He's a short, big man. Biggest issue is the 43-inch reach, being a lot shorter than Wingust, but they don't call him Big Hit for no reason. I mean, that's been what's on the top of everybody's minds, it sounds like, today. Is that fight, and Wingust is a force, but as we were saying, he's going to have a big obstacle in his way in the form of Murphy. JT Murphy, a different Murphy, in the comments, offering up, do you think Ting Bunger can lead the Lake Erie Mudbutts to the big ball dance again next solstice? The thing about the Lake Erie Mudbutts is they are good in the preseason. They are exceptional preseason players. But when the big lights come on and when the price is right, the Mudbutts just don't seem to have what it takes. They've been to the dance multiple times. They've been to the dance multiple times, and they always seem to come up short. They're kind of like the little kid in middle school that's always up against the wall. They're a wallflower. They might do great in class. They might have all the potential in the world, but if they can't slow dance at the big dance, then no, I don't think that any player on that team has what it takes to get them there at the solstice. Toddy offering up, not based on their past career, but future, who do you think has more than the tank Vince Blitzer? Who do you think has more in the tank, Vince Blitzer or Antoine Getty? Vince Blitzer is at the top of everybody's list when it comes down to top 5 players of the last decade. But Antoine Getty is worth the same breath here because he has been posting incredible rounds, and his team is more than happy to have him, I would think, because of the points that he's posting. Aaron offering up, is there any truth to the rumor about Willows cheating on his wife with Alessandra Ambrosia? As Casey mentioned earlier, is that it is rumor season, and I'm sure that I saw this come through rumor season. But I don't want to get into the household type rumor. I'm fine to sit here and conjecture about contracts, to conjecture about a position within a team, trades. But I'm not even going to justify that with a response about any sort of home life disputes. Mark Bush offering, I love Ting Bunger, probably the best asset to the Mudbutts in a long time. Yes, I see them having an epic solstice. Again, you've got Mudbutts fans, and you don't. I personally don't see them taking it to the solstice. They're just not. They're not formed enough, if that makes sense. They don't have the team in place today that gets them to the solstice. They might have it in the 2019-2020 season. I'm not ruling that out. That would take a lot of... They would have had to make some different changes at the draft the other day. But they made the decisions that they did. And, you know, this solstice, I think, is out of... I think this solstice is out of the question for the Mudbutts. People offering up more Willows and Ambrosia questions in the comments. I would politely like to ask everybody to just... Let's not drag Willow's name into the mud here. Not in my comments. Toddy offering up, I respect your opinion on Blitzer, but being one of the best of all time, but we were talking about the future here. I think Getty could be a better option going forward. If you were looking to make it anywhere near the solstice, you got to think someone is going to want Getty. I'm not shortchanging Getty by a long shot here. That guy has posted an amazing season. That guy has posted an amazing season, a season that others would love to be a part of. But I don't see it. I don't see it. Not for this solstice, at least. Really, I see the Pomeranians going this solstice. It'll probably end up being the Pomeranians and even the speedsters, because they got Mark Gorbachev, and you can't sleep on Mark Gorbachev. He just signed that new 4-year deal with them. And he's probably going to take that momentum. He's going to be feeling great about himself right now. But he's going to take that momentum, and he's going to take it to the big dance. Where's my newswire? We've got, Brute McScore. This was big. This was big this past week. Brute McScore, he's got the Gold Bowl now. He's got the Gold Bowl, remaining in the final bid to win Kentucky's version of the Winchester Trophy. An incredible outing and an incredible week for Brute McScore. And I don't believe that anybody, as a single individual, has taken on that much of the Gold Bowl. Toddy offering up. Gorbachev contract was way wild. Hell of a player, but is he worth that much? Again, I'll say it once and I'll say it a million times. I'll shout it from the rooftops. I'll go up to the top of the mountain and I'll tell you that Gorbachev is the guy that you want on your team. A lot of people call into the show and say that I just have a vendetta against the Mudbutts, and I don't. A lot of people saying that I just have an active bias against the Mudbutts, and I assure you I don't. You cannot shortchange Mark Gorbachev, though. The Atlanta Speedsters, with Gorbachev on their team now, and we didn't know this a year ago. This guy's a rookie. But Mark Gorbachev is going to lead that team to the winter solstice. Brute McScore, he's got Kentucky's version of that Winchester Trophy. It's that gold bowl. He gets it for the next 3 months. And, we'll see what he does with it. We'll see how he holds that gold bowl. And I think that guy has got more talent in his pinky finger than the whole of the Mudbutts. We got another call coming in. Hello, caller. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hi, I'm Aaron. This is Aaron. I'm calling from Culver City.
Oh, hi, Aaron. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. I really want to talk about Chuck Hutmusket because I know I don't know if a lot of people know this, but I went to school with Chuck, and what kind of blows my mind is, when he was first contracted with the college team, the Braiders.
The Braiders, yeah.
He almost beat out Jesse Mario Tibiero, and Tibiero was absolutely number one in regionals that year. So I want to know what you think about, Chuck Hutmusket is well on his way to probably 9-time winning Hall of Famer champion. And meanwhile, have we heard anything about Jesse Mario Tibiero? Because I haven't.
No, because Chuck was the biggest name to come out of the Braiders. And he has for a long time, he's going to end up on a national team. He's going to leave the Braiders. He's going to enter their Hall of Fame most certainly. But you can't enter the Hall of Fame while you're going to college there. We all know that.
No.
But
yeah.
he's gonna go off from the Braiders, and I wouldn't be surprised if I saw him on the Pittsburgh Relics. I could see him on.
That's a good point. I thought of that.
I could see him. I could see him on the Tennessee Dealers. A lot of these teams are going to really. They're going to want somebody like Hut Musket. Now, to your point, his teammate and the dynamic duo that was created over the past 3 years on the Braiders, Jesse Mario Tibiero, they were the Kobe and Shaq of that team.
Exactly.
And Jesse, for whatever reason, and I don't know if this is something in the back office, or if this is something, if there's personal issues going on. Again, it's rumor season. I don't want to give into that. But there's got to be something that's keeping Jesse Tibiero from the conversation of what's next in the upcoming year for him, because they're both going to graduate. They're both going to sign something, presumably before they graduate, or at least they should. But Jesse doesn't seem to have any of the momentum behind him in those talks. It's all Chuck.
Yeah, none. Yeah, and I'm not here to talk down on anybody, but Hut Musket, he's a great player. He's got great vision, great fingers, but I love everything he does. But I think the team would be better off if he fell off a frickin' skyscraper and they got Jesse Mario on board. And I'm sorry, because I know that's kind of dark and that's a intense thing to say, but it's the way I feel, honestly.
Now, Aaron, Toddy in the comments is offering up, Jesse can't stay out of trouble. Have you seen the tweet of him with Ja Rule and a Bow Wow smoking what looks to be weed? Are you
honestly? I did see that. And you know what? I don't buy it. I don't think that's him for two reasons. Because Jesse Mario Tibiero is known to have a shark tattoo on the back of his left ear. Tell me now, do you see that tattoo on the back of his left ear in that video? Because I don't. And he's turning around the whole time.
I heard of this video. I admittedly have not seen it for myself, but I feel as though we're going down rumor season a little too much.
Yeah.
But for all those toddies out there, I'd say I would want to look up the Snopes on that before I do anything.
Yeah.
Toddy's offering up, I don't see the shark. That's true, but he's just saying that Jesse has a known drug problem. And, somebody might be struggling. Again, like I said, there might be something going on personally, but that doesn't mean that they can't get the help that they need in order to be a player with contributions to a national team. He's got the goods.
100%.
He's got the goods, and he really should be in the conversation when it comes to a national team. If Hut Musket is going to go, any team would be stupid to not try to get both players on their team. But again, maybe there's something else going on there. Maybe there's more to that story than we're all currently aware of.
Yeah.
Any other
point.
Any other thoughts on the world of sports, Aaron?
No, I'm glad. Thanks so much for taking my call and, for hearing me out.
You got it. Anytime. Thank you for the call. All right, give us a call, 240-BIG-PAN-6, if you want to talk about all of your thoughts, theories, and conjectures about sports. We're raising money for Magic Wheelchair. What was it? We had 115 before. We're at 190 now. $190 raised for Magic Wheelchair. I want to thank everybody for offering up their pocketbooks. If you want more information about Magic Wheelchair, I would play you a video right now, but that's what shut us down earlier. Go to magicwheelchair.org to find out more information about Magic Wheelchair. Magic Wheelchair is a great organization that makes costumes for children in wheelchairs. There's a lovely video by Great Big Story if you want to see it. We're getting another phone call. Hello, caller. Caller, what's your name and where are you calling from?
Calling from Los Angeles, California. My name's Shirley.
Shirley, so good to hear from you. What would you like to talk about?
Want to talk about the mud butts.
Everybody wants to talk about the mud butts. What do you have to say?
Can't get enough. Can't get enough of the mud butts. I think they're going all the way.
Now, do you think that they have even a chance going into the solstice?
Mud butts, mud butts, mud butts, mud butts, mud butts.
This is what people do. They call into my radio show, and they just chant mud butts and hang up. They hung up. A lot of people. It's been long standing. My thoughts on the mud butts. It's been public knowledge. My thoughts on the mud butts. But here we are, after my many years of broadcasting, and people are still calling up to just chant mud butts and hang up on me. I don't want that. I want you to call in, and I want to have a thoughtful conversation about the world of sports. And if you all just call in and chant mud butts, that's not going to make for good radio. KCSD Sports has hired me to produce a game day, a big game broadcast. A lot of money going behind this. I'm donating my full check from KCSD Sports to Magic Wheelchair. We should get that right out the gate here. We've raised another $10 for Magic Wheelchair. Thank you for donating. We're at the 200 mark. We've officially raised $200 for Magic Wheelchair. I appreciate you all for doing that. If you want to give us a call, as long as you promise not to chant mud butts, I need you to give me a call at 240-BIG-PAN-6. Can somebody please talk to Mark Bush in the comments? He seems to be rattling off some sort of nonsense. Aaron offering up in the comments, Trip Skipley's is the future of full access lacrosse. And if you disagree with me, you're clearly watching too much mainstream sports media. I mean, have you seen Moneyball? You're not wrong, Aaron. We've got another call coming in. Hello, caller. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Mud butts, mud butts, mud
See,
butts.
I told you guys.
Butts.
Hey, listen. I didn't want it to come to this. I can't have you calling up and just chanting mud butts and hanging up. We're raising money for a good cause here. We're raising money for a good cause. I want to talk sports. I'm here for the next hour, 52 minutes, to talk sports. And I would politely ask that everybody stay on topic. This has been an issue for years of people calling into my radio shows, chanting mud butts, and leaving. That's right, Aaron. Mud butts fans stay trashy. This just shows you what the mud butts fans are like. And this is indicative of their front office as well. Hello, caller. What's your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Brian. I'm calling from Phoenix.
Brian, you're calling from Phoenix. So good to hear from you. What would you like to talk about?
Let's talk about this matchup we got tonight. Now, when they run a 4-3 defense and you got the nickelback giving it to the quarterback, what you gonna do then?
Now, Brian, are you talking about the big game?
The big game, between them dudes and them others.
Because I have to tell you up top, Brian, that I'm contractually obligated to not talk about the big game. We can talk about anything else in the world of sports, but I'm contractually obligated.
Talk about the nickelback and the quarterback left run three.
Are you talking from the Tennessee Dealers? Are you talking about because Daryl Stock Details and his Tennessee Dealers they are on a high right now.
How's your Sunday going?
It's going great. How's your Sunday going?
It's raining, but it's going well.
That's great. This is the Arizona news or the weather forecast.
This in. It's raining in Arizona.
That's good to know. That's good to know. I'm traveling. I'm gonna be doing some sports broadcast business out in Arizona in a little bit. I'm going out there to see the Jungleberries play.
Oh, the Jungle Bears. They've been having a good season this year, you know.
Oh yeah, I've got it on my newswire. They're putting their winning streak at stake in 2 road games this week. I'm going to see them at their home game that follows all of that. Are you a fan of the Jungleberries?
I am, and you know, when they play the Doo-Wops, I'm going to be pretty excited. You know,
the
I think it's gonna be a good game.
The Doo-Wops have had an incredible season.
You know, it's something. It's a miracle, really. You know, and I just wish I could be at more games. You know,
absolutely. I mean, and I mean no disrespect to your homegrown Jungleberries, but the Doo-Wops have just been posting an amazing 4-3 record this season. And I'd be tempted to go to that game if I were you.
You know, I'm gonna do my best. I have no vacation days left, but I'm gonna call off. I need to see this Doo-Wops Jungleberry game. It's life changing. It really will be. And you know, I mean, cancel everything, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. Any other thoughts on the world of sports?
No. I just wish I could get a signed jersey if you do go. The Jungleberries are, you know, a signed jersey would just make my day, make my year, really.
Let's do this, Brian. I'm gonna put you on hold for our producer to talk to you. They're gonna take down your information, and when I go out to see the Jungleberries and their team, I'm gonna be interviewing their head coach for a segment that we're doing here at KCSD Sports. I'll get your information. If I can pull anything off like that for you, I'll definitely do that for you.
Oh, that's awesome. You made my day. I don't even care about the big game anymore.
Oh, absolutely. Brian, stay on the line or producer's going to get your information.
Sounds great. Thanks,
Brian. All right, just catching up on your comments before we go back to the news wire. Again, 240-BIG-PAN-6 is the number to call. We've got that phone line open for the next 47 minutes. 47 minutes, that'll be open. Thoughts on Jungleberry's acquisition of former Thawburger front-end fit Windeldurk comes from Aaron. Windeldurk is going to... He's a passable player in my... you know, that's my take on Wriggledurk. But he's going to do fine on that team. He's going to fit in well. I think he brings to the team what they've been looking for the past half of a season. We got another call coming. Hello, caller. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Am I on? Am I on? Oh, man.
You're on. You're on radio.
This is Arthur from Palmcaster. You represent 661 Palmcaster, baby.
Arthur, so good to hear from you. What do you want to talk about in the world of sports?
Now, look, I love the game. I love the game just as much as anyone loves the game. But I got to tell you, the integrity has changed, man. Right? I mean, this whole the water wing scandal is just ruining the game.
You're talking specifically of the AFC.
The AFC used to have real heart and grit and guts, and the allowing the players to use the water wings, it messes up the integrity of the AFC.
Now, for anybody that doesn't follow the AFC, what Arthur is trying to cover here is that a lot of people within the AFC believe that the use of water wings, which people use to some degree, is the other argument. The use of water wings gives a player an unfair advantage over the opposing team, and we've received mixed signals from the commissioner as to whether the use of water wings was going to be changed, or at least the policy, over the next year or so. And they came down recently and said that it would be allowed, leaving a lot of people that really hoped that there would be some form of regulation put in place on the water wings. Left them a little befuddled over the decision. The water wing scandal came to be after the championship game was decided with a point that was made by two players with the use of water wings that turned out to be filled with smaller flotation devices within the wings themselves, when it really ought to be just air. Is your biggest concern, Arthur, is it the unfair advantage given at the top of the spread, or is it the weight given to the player wearing them?
To me, it is the fact that when I get home from after a long days of this and that, and I sit down to watch an AFC, I want to see grit and guts. And the water wings, to me, it just makes it all. It makes it weak, man. It makes it weak. The players look weak when they have the wings on.
But I mean, just playing devil's advocate here, I'm not saying that this is what I believe, but the other argument for the water wings is that every player has to wear some form of band on their arm. That is what indicates which team they're on. That is what indicates their player number. Some people customize it to begin with.
Represent, of course.
Some people customize it to begin with. However, what is really in question here is those that have added inflation to the armband. If you are to rule out water wings, are we ruling out the armband altogether? Because you can see the problem. You can see the problem that arises if we get rid of the armband altogether.
Where do they draw the line? Where do they draw the line? Yeah.
So what is your solution to where do you draw the line?
Bryson, I think it's important to protect the tight backs, right? If you're going to put water wings on them, you got to protect the tight backs, right? You got to keep those guys safe. But for the rest of the league, for the rest of the players in the positions, it gives them an advantage that I find just makes the game less fun. And when I get home, I want fun. When I turn on the sports, I want fun. I pay a lot of good money to see these guys get out there and do it their best.
Now, Arthur, is the problem currently that not every player is wearing water wings?
It seems unfair.
Then why don't we give everybody arm wing? Why don't we give everybody water wings?
Yeah, well, God, Bryson, when you put it that way, it makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense, man.
And, I tend to make a whole lot of sense. I'm just saying, if you've got a problem with some players wearing water wings, let's have them all wear water wings, and then nobody can complain about the unfair advantage. If you can't score a game-winning punt with a water wing, that's just... at that point, you have no excuse.
Wow.
You've got the water wing. They've got the water wing. There's no longer a problem.
I didn't. This is why I called in. That solves a lot of problems.
I've always thought that this whole water wing scandal was just way blown out of proportion. Everybody get a water wing. Everybody stop talking about this. Let's move on. And like you said, let's see some games. Let's have some fun. The AFC, the AFC is not here to just produce Twitter beefs and incontrovertible just arguments on the air. You got all of these panelists before the game that are just talking about the Water Wings scandal, and I'm sick of it. I want to see a game for once.
Let them play. Let the guys play.
Let them play. Let them play. All right.
That's what I've been. Let them play.
Arthur, any other things you want to talk about in the world of sports?
I just want to Palmcast to represent. We got a second IHOP, 661, baby.
Congrats on the IHOP. Have a good one. Enjoy the big game. All right, folks. We're still running down everything as it relates to the world of sports. If you haven't done so already, consider donating to Magic Wheelchair. You can find out more information about them at magicwheelchair.org. Fantastic organization that builds costumes for children in wheelchairs. If you haven't done so already, please consider donating and check out any videos online about Magic Wheelchair. They're heart-wrenching, I assure you. We've raised, how much so far? We've raised $225, which is fantastic. I appreciate you all for doing that. Going to catch up on your comments before we get back to the news wire. Looks like some people are making some financial transactions within the comments. I feel like I legally have to say don't do that. That's not allowed. Do not share your financial information in the comments of our live stream. Toddy offering up, there's always been a scandal in the game. The 80s had the Heathcliff brothers incident. That was just that reached national news. The 90s had VHS camcorder recordings, all the teams doing that, and that was a big thing before we really understood camcorder technology. This new water wing thing, I get it, but it's no different than the stuff they used to use in the past. Like I was saying, there's always going to be some form of an armband, inflated or otherwise. Let's just give everybody an inflated armband. Let's decide on a standard water wing armband, and everybody gets it. Let's uniform it. Still a lot of transactions happening. Ting Bunger, says JT Murphy, with the Water Wings, game over. Might as well give the Mudbutts the tournament crown. Every solstice then. JT, again, the Mudbutts I don't see being this solstice. Again, I'm not going to just blanket say that I don't see it for any season, but this solstice, certainly not. The Heathcliff brothers were way worse than the Water Wings. I'll say it again, says Toddy. Yeah, I mean, Toddy, I don't think anybody's disagreeing with you there. That reached national news. The Heathcliff brothers really put the AFC to shame for a while, and the AFC had to rebound from that bad publicity. So I don't really see anybody calling into question the Heathcliff brothers' tragedy as being the worst AFC has faced. Water Wings is old news, guys. You're overlooking the big game, which should be the big topic. I don't think either team... Well, if we're talking about big game, Mark, I legally have to ask one of my moderators to delete your comment. So if somebody, please, in the comments could delete Mark Bush's comments about the big game, I'd appreciate it. Just with KCSD's coverage elsewhere about the big game, there's plenty of places to talk about the big game, but not at this juncture. Am I the only one that doesn't see a problem with the Heathcliff brothers? Again, everybody in the comments seems to be trying to make the case that the Heathcliff brothers is not at the forefront of everybody's minds when you mention the AFC. There is a problem with the Heathcliff brothers, and that tragedy lives with each of us every single day, and not even just us sports fans. It lives with every single person who was around in the 80s to see the AFC come to shame with the Heathcliff brothers. Now, if you want to talk about anything, again, not related to the big game, within the world of sports, please do give us a call at 240-BIG-PAN-6. We talked about the Arizona Jungleberries earlier. They're facing a tough challenge as they put on their winning streak at stake in 2 road games this week. Looking forward to those games. As I mentioned, I'm going to be in Arizona interviewing their head coach. Later on, you can look for that at KCSD Sports. The Tennessee Hogskins guard, Vince Blitzer, took the first steps towards his eventual return from shoulder injury last week when he underwent successful surgery on Monday. Our thoughts go out to Blitzer. He is a phenomenal player, and I'm wishing him a very speedy recovery. Jose offering up, love what the Water Wings have done to the game. It's a huge leap from the old days of cattails. Really, the cattails were... It was a good idea at the time with the cattails, but what we found, or at least what the sports scientists have found over time, is that the cattails were having an unforeseen negative impact. So I just... the Water Wings, again, give them to everybody. Let's go on with the game. Heathcliff Brothers, geez, all this scandal stuff is so messed up. Yeah, I probably should stray away from reading comments about the Heathcliff Brothers because it does produce so many negative feelings in a lot of people, but you can't talk about the AFC without recognizing the Heathcliff Brothers tragedy of the early 80s. We've got the Pittsburgh Relics. They were mentioned earlier. News broke this week that they're leading the division in season ticket sales, so congratulations, Pittsburgh Relics. That stadium, beautiful stadium, top of the line, just amazing stadium there in Pittsburgh, just outside of Pittsburgh, really. I mean, you got the financial district there, and just outside, they've got that brand new stadium. There was questions as to whether or not they could fill that, especially with a team like the Relics. Whether or not there was that much of a demand for a 75,000 seat stadium. I believe that's the number. But at least they sold out their season tickets. So good on the Relics. Looking forward to seeing some packed games there in Pittsburgh. Tuck Bubblegum, have we talked about this? Tuck Bubblegum scored the most shots for accuracy in Friday's skills competition on the court and was awarded the trophy by Hall of Famer Wayne Audible. Wayne Audible, if you all didn't see the outfit that Wayne Audible was wearing when he presented the trophy to Bubblegum, a fantastic suit combination, three-piece suit combination that was making the rounds on Twitter. We'll get to that in a bit. We got a caller coming in. Caller, what's your name and where are you calling from? Again with the mud butts chance. I asked you all nicely earlier on, and I was in the middle of a good thought with Wayne Audible's three-piece suit from the other night. And here you go, having to interrupt my broadcast just to chant mud butts over and over again. I'm fuming. I can't even appreciate Wayne Audible and his meme-worthy suit. Salmon from top to bottom. Salmon plaid. The guy was looking sharp, but the color palette was decisively weird. But I guess that's also a shame that we're talking about Hall of Famers' clothing decisions rather than the real story, which is Tuck Bubblegum scoring the most shots for accuracy. So more credit goes to Bubblegum, who deserved the trophy. Not only deserved the trophy, but he really earned that trophy. That skills competition was packed. There's no telling what was going to come out of that heading into it. But we leave that night talking about Tuck Bubblegum. Really, we're talking about Wayne Audible, but Tuck Bubblegum is who we should be talking about. If I can try to get this train back on the rails. Congratulations, Tuck Bubblegum. If you have any thoughts about sports, call the number now, 240-BIG-PAN-6. I will ask you politely once again to not call in, just to chant mud butts. JT offering up, Mudbutt fans are ravenous today. The people have spoken, and they love the butts. You just have. This is why I'm not on social media. These Mudbutt fans have been following me for years. Looks like JT Murphy and Ryan Murphy having a private conversation amongst our chat room. Why don't you guys put down your private conversation and have the guts to call us right now? 240-BIG-PAN-6 is the number to call. Let's see. For the fourth straight week, Ned Toe Power. Sorry, get that name wrong. Let's do it again so that we can have it for the archive. For the fourth straight week, Ted Toe Power ranks number 1 in the GHB rankings of top players. Ned, of course, a real, not somebody to sleep on in the GHB. In the GHB is stacked with incredible players. So for any commissioner to try to put together a ranking of top players in an institution such as the GHB, I wouldn't want that job. You heard a lot of rumors, again, it being rumor season, that you would have seen like a Carl Slipstick in that conversation. I mean, he's been suspended at this point, but when this ranking was coming out, that wasn't the deal. And Logan last time, again, how do you not put him in the rankings of top players? Aaron Moore asking, what do you think about the McFlurry-Plinkton trade? I think that's about as even as you can get. You could have thrown in a MacArthur in there. You could have seen somebody else added in with Plinkton, but I'm not sure if the Relics would have gone for that. Jessica offering up, I'm unfamiliar with the team, but I'm looking forward to the Monocles next season. They just acquired Mac Hacklin, and I think it will change their game completely. I think it will as well. They were in desperate need of some sort of change-up. They've had a sluggish 3 seasons. And I think that the Monocles, who were, back during the late 80s, early 90s, the Monocles were the team to beat. The Monocles were what everybody was striving to go after. And now they through a series of bad financial investments, some trades within the organization, some mix-ups within the head office, it just seems as though the Monocles haven't been on anybody's radar because they haven't been putting in the wins. Again, we've got time for your calls. 240-BIG-PAN-6 is the number to call. We were covering Ned Toe Power. We've got 5-star thrower Hanson Goodfingers also. He's going to start the 2019-2020 season with the Oregon Pace Salsas. Goodfingers was the hottest free agent in the league, announcing via Twitter that he's going to ultimately land in Oregon. And I think that he's going to bring something to that team. I don't know what it is, but he's going to bring something. We're getting another call. Hello, caller. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hey, my name's Dick Fingerberries, and I'm calling from South Central Atlanta, Georgia.
Dick, so good to hear from you. What do you want to cover?
So I'm curious what you think about that new book coming out about the Mudbutt.
Listen, so there's that unauthorized look behind the Mudbutts. It's a coffee table book. It's filled with, it's like a 16-inch square book filled with all sorts of glossy photos and I'd like to watch my words here, but just it's filled with glossy photos and flat out lies. The Mudbutts not taking anything away from them overall, but the Mudbutts are not a team that deserves a full color glossy coffee table book being nationally sold. This isn't being sold at just their team store. This is in every Barnes & Noble, Amazon Books, and Kitson if they're still around. And I just don't think that was
100%.
worth. I don't think that was worth the trees it was printed on.
Ain't that the truth? You know, Mud Luggins can't even get himself a raise for this past season, but they've got enough money to put out a freaking coffee table book.
You actually raise an excellent point. The financials behind this are a little weird. They've got a lot of great players. Again, it's more so it's more so the community around the Mudbutts that I think does a disservice to some great players that do end up on that team. And you've got people on that team that have been begging for raises. You've got players that they've just lost to other teams over time, quoting financials when they were able to produce this coffee table book for presumably the worst of the worst types of sports fans to have on their coffee tables.
Exactly. I mean, who's going to want something like that sitting in their living room, knowing the way these guys treat, seasoned players? It's just sad.
The team is more of, at this point, at one point they were a passable team. At this point, they are more of a persona. They are more of a content creator than they are a legitimate sports team.
100%.
And
I don't know why people are even fans anymore, to be honest.
Well, they latch on to the mentality. They latch on to the attitude of the team. They to their credit, they do produce an excellent amount of marketing. But I just think that over time, you're collecting the bottommost scum of the earth when you are collecting fans in that way. You're collecting the types of people that are going to call into my perfectly, professional sports broadcast, and they're just going to chant Mudbutts and hang up. They're not even going to. They're just like all these online trolls who are who just hide behind the aspect of anonymity to just chant Mudbutts and hang up on me.
Yeah, and if you ask me, they don't got anything else to say.
I appreciate that, Dick. It's been difficult to all these years trying to produce quality sports radio to have to. I want to open up the lines for all of you legitimate sports fans to talk about the news of the day, and it's hard to do that when that also opens it up for these trolls. We really ought to invest in a call screener. And I think KCSD Sports would be smart to listen to that suggestion.
Well, I'm with you there, my friend.
Dick, anything else jumping out at you on this big game day to talk about in the world of sports?
No, but I just got to tell you, I appreciate having a voice of reason out there in the sports media right now, and keep up the good work, man.
Thank you, Dick. I appreciate it. Thanks for being a hero. All right. Still taking your calls. 240 Pan 6 is the number to call. We talked about Hanson Goodfingers ending up with the Oregon Pace Salsas. That must be they haven't released the details of that contract. But you got to imagine that is a sizable sizable contract. Top of the league, biggest free agent of the day. You got to think that he was getting what he was asking for in any negotiations that were going on. Minnesota Lighthouses said former club vice chair and general manager Titus O'Crowder died on Saturday. This is sad news. Of an apparent ski accident in Lake Tahoe at age 95. All of us at KCSD Sports here, our thoughts go out to the O'Crowder family. A legacy family within the world of the AFC. Age 95 he was. He coached so many of your favorite players currently. And he was irreplaceable, really. He was out skiing in Lake Tahoe, and I guess some sort of accident happened between the positioning of his feet and the positioning of a tree in the mountain. No details yet on when a service will be held. But we can assure you that we here at KCSD Sports will be offering up all of those details as they become available. I remember Titus O'Crowder. He had a game back in the late 70s, early 80s. And he was such a charmer. He had so much charisma. And I just remember him scoring a game-winning point. And he went up and he shook the hands of every fan in attendance. I was a young sports writer at the time, and I remember he came up and he shook my hand, and I said, "Thank you, Mr. O'Crowder, for a great, great game." And I'll never forget what he said to me. He looked down and he said, "Son, that out there, that was for two people. It was for my wife, and it was for you." He was a good man, and I'll never forget him. Titus O'Crowder. Again, our thoughts go out to the O'Crowder family. We're raising money for Magic Wheelchair here today. MagicWheelchair.org is the place to go. If you want more information, you can donate right here on Facebook Live. We've raised, $125. $225. My apologies. $225 raised today for Magic Wheelchair so far. We still got a little bit to go in this 2-hour big game broadcast. Consider donating to Magic Wheelchair. They make Comic-Con worthy costumes for children in wheelchairs so that they can be seen for something other than their wheelchair, at least for a moment. It's a lovely organization. Plenty of videos online for you to look at for more information about Magic Wheelchair. $225 so far raised. I appreciate every bit of it. I'm going to follow up on some of your comments. JT Murphy offering a lot of controversy around the butts. I'd say it's split right down the middle. Jessica offering up, Titus once played piano at a lodge where I was vacationing. Not a skilled pianist, but he wouldn't stop. Nice man. Titus O'Crowder, I want to hear people's Titus O'Crowder stories. He was a very famous or infamous character within the world of sports, coming from the legendary O'Crowder family. O'Crowder sports family. If you've got any of your own personal sightings, because Lord knows there's a lot of them, give us a call at 240-BIG-PAN-6. Titus O'Crowder, of course, passing away at the age of 95 yesterday. I'll miss that man. I'll miss that man a great deal. 240-BIG-PAN-6 is the number to call. What else is in the sports news? We've got Where did I lose it? Oh, center pusher Wally Tumbles. This guy. And the Chicago Hall Monitors. They've reached an agreement on an 8-year contract extension worth $37.23 million. This guy, another young upstarter, Wally Tumbles, and the Hall Monitors have been desperate for a center pusher. So this was just a natural fit. They're extending his contract for another 8 years, and this is no small chunk of change. $37.23 million. Wouldn't you like $37.23 million? But this guy is bringing to the Hall Monitors something that they desperately need. Because their centers are delicate. And with a pusher like Tumbles, you'll see them within the conversation of the solstice, is what I would imagine. They're another sleeper team, at least now, but I wouldn't be surprised to see them definitely over the Mudbutts for this year's solstice. Taking your calls, 240-BIG-PAN-6 is the number to call for any sports conversation. Want to hear from you, want to hear your thoughts, your experiences, your interactions with Titus O'Crowder, 95-year-old legend of the Minnesota Lighthouses. He was famously a player on the Denver Handbottoms. Finished up his career on the Minnesota Lighthouses, at least as the club's vice chair and general manager. This is in the twilight of his career as well. He had switched to front office work, more administrative things. There was conversations at one point of him being the commissioner itself. Those conversations died out quickly. And I don't think he was ever meant to be a commissioner, a full-fledged commissioner. Don't think that was in the cards for Titus. But a general manager for the Minnesota Lighthouses, that suited him. And at least suited him for the twilight of not only his career, but the age, the end of his years here on this swirling planet we call Earth. 240-BIG-PAN-6 is the number to call. Getting a call right now. Hello, caller. What's your name and where are you calling from?
I just heard about Titus.
It's a sad story. It's definitely a sad story. Legacy within all of the league.
You know? I can't. I have to go.
Did you? Okay, they've hung up on us. Definitely sad news. I would ask that if you're going to call into our sports radio broadcast that you hopefully collect yourself a little bit before that. Again, I would love a call screener. KCSD. Taking your calls, 240-BIG-PAN-6. If you'd like to call in, I'd ask that you don't just chant mud butts over and over again. I'd also like to ask that you collect yourself beforehand. I don't want just people to call in and cry a bunch. That would be weird. Now, Titus O'Crowder, he famously jumped out of the arena on a bungee cord. This was a publicity stunt, like in the mid-90s. And it was this sort of thing that endeared him to the sports fans, like myself. If you had yourself any inspiration from Titus O'Crowder, I think I feel comfortable enough to say this. I think his family would agree with this. If you want to donate any amount of money in Titus O'Crowder's name, please feel free to do so to Magic Wheelchair. If you're in a position to do so, donate to Magic Wheelchair, a fantastic organization that could use your money. The money would go towards the fabrication of costumes for children in wheelchairs. We've raised $225 so far for Magic Wheelchair. We're in the twilight of our broadcast. We're here to take your calls. 240 Big Pan 6 is the number to call. Hope everybody's enjoying their big game Sunday. Again, if you want to be talking big game, if you want the breakdown on all things big game, go somewhere else. JT Murphy offering up, wasn't there a cover-up controversy regarding Titus's old rival, Smush McTiglord? They had a complicated past. And there was some disagreements between the two of them. JT also offering up, we can't talk about Titus without at least mentioning Smush once. And you're right. They were considered the most bitter of rivals in their prime. But really, in their old age, the two became best friends. It was an amazing story of forgiveness and humility. The two would go on to co-chair the Minnesota Lighthouses, and I'd be interested to see what Smush's thoughts are, or what words he has to say upon the passing of his longtime rival and friend. They brought national attention to the league with their great back-and-forth matchups of the 80s. And they seem to be matched, evenly matched. They seem to always have each other's numbers one way or the other. And any game between Smush and Titus, as they were coined, was must-watch sports. I'll miss the opportunity to see Smush and Titus together. I'd be interested to see if anybody could dig up the last known photograph of the two of them together. Probably would be some sort of Minnesota Lighthouse administrative retreat that they might have taken a picture together. See that next to an older photo of them both in their primes in the smaller uniforms, the different cut that they were back then. That's what I want to see in my video package of Titus O'Crowder's video obituary. Again, if you have any interactions with Titus O'Crowder, we'll end this stream hopefully with anybody's stories of Titus O'Crowder at 240 Big Pan 6. I dedicate this big game broadcast to Titus O'Crowder for all of the great memories and for all of the great games that he shared with all of us. I want Titus O'Crowder to know that I miss him and that he was great. We're getting another call. Hello, caller. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hi, this is JT Murphy.
Oh, JT Murphy. What Titus O'Crowder?
Calling from the comments.
You're calling from what?
Oh, that's me in the comments.
Oh, you're the JT Murphy in the comments, of course. Now, do you have any Titus O'Crowder memories or interactions that you can remember?
Not not so much real memories about Titus, but I did have a question regarding his old rival, Smush.
Yeah.
I know they had pretty storied history together. There's some good times, some bad times with the both of them. But it's hard to talk about Titus. Rest in peace, without mentioning Smush McTiggler. I feel like that's kind of the 1A to 1B with the ball history.
Oh, absolutely.
But I remember Smush had a little bit of there's some controversy around Smush. My apologies, but I can't seems to be erased from the record books, the internet even. And such a storied sportscaster as yourself, maybe you could shed a little light on that, because I can't seem to put my finger on it, around the old Smush controversy.
Well, Titus helped him out with this. Smush had gotten into a fair amount of troubles in the late 90s with a gambling problem, and a lot of people don't know this. It wasn't widely reported, but this is a case to show you how great of a man Titus was. Is that Smush had fallen out of the public consciousness and limelight for a fair amount of the late 90s, and I don't even know if some of this is public knowledge, but he was in pretty bad with some Norwegian bookies. Excuse me.
Yeah, it was. Correct me if I'm wrong. Was it baby racing?
Was it what?
Smush got kind of caught up in baby racing small infant children.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Was that?
I don't. I'm gonna. JT. I don't know you, but I'm just gonna suggest that we honor the memory of these two legends. There was some reports of some seedy participation on Smush's part, but I'd like to focus on Titus getting him out of that situation, which is to say that there was some problems in Norway, and Smush was actually what's the word? Extracted out of the U.S. Extradition or whatever that word is. I don't know. He was
extracted.
He was extracted from the United States, and he was taken to Norway, and he was held captive there for a number of years to pay off his debts. He had invested unwisely and had additionally gotten into some gambling problems with these bookies. Now, what you had mentioned has been within what apparently happened. I'm not going to give it the time of day. What I will tell you is that Titus O'Crowder personally traveled to Norway with a team, and he captured and saved Smush, and brought him back to the United States.
He imported him back into the United States.
Imported him back to the United States, and this is to tell you what kind of man Titus is. Not only did he take a team to save his friend, he also paid off all existing debts, not only of Smush's, but of every captive prisoner that the Norwegians had.
Wow.
That's the kind of man that Titus O'Crowder is. And he
absolute legend.
And he did this without any publicity, without any mention of it within the papers, and I bet a lot of you didn't hear it until today. But that's the man that I'll remember. JT, any final thoughts? We're going into our last minute of the big game broadcast.
I'm just a big fan. Thanks for taking my call. I think what you're doing for Magic Wheelchair is great. And I'm happy to, just hear a little bit of mud butt talk as well.
Sorry, JT, the call is cut out. I'm so sorry. All right. I'm so sorry for getting emotional there. That's unprofessional of me. Ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of our big game broadcast. It's been a pleasure bringing you all the latest sports news. It's my pleasure to dedicate this show today to Titus O'Crowder and the man that he was. I want to thank you all for raising $225 for Magic Wheelchair. If you have any ability to do so, please go to magicwheelchair.org for more information as to how you can donate to Magic Wheelchair, a fantastic organization. I appreciate all of you for spending your big game day with me. Our big game broadcast is out.